Hi, we're the Moonkeeper team. Welcome aboard. Moonkeeper is a science fiction comedy which presents the moon in a new light.
Our budget wouldn't allow us to shoot on the moon, so we created a realistic lunar ground here on Earth. We shot in a theater with black walls to avoid reflections and indirect lighting. We used an HMI projector to recreate the strong light of the sun with sharp shadows. To make the contacts between the actor and the ground more realistic, we made a patch of lunar soil made of concrete, plaster and oil.
We couldn't cam up the images using low-resolution archival footage, so I recreated the ground surface in CG. First, we made a substance material. Next, we combined it with displacement sources, like Z-burst skirts on photoscan maps. Then, we mixed and projected everything with our homemade lunar soil on set.
To avoid the monotony of the moonscape, we created various light ambiances like the sunrise or the eclipse shot. The absence of atmosphere on the moon can make the light very flat, so we worked with topography to create natural indirect lightings and contrast.
I used lens flares, glow and lens distortion to heighten the contrast and make the landscape more appealing to the viewer. I also used bluish grading to establish a calm, harmonious environment for Carl before the tourist invasion.
The purity of moonlighting also required that we create extremely precise assets in large number. We spend a lot of time looking at references to get as close as possible to reality. The hero asset was the moon engine. To give proper scale, I used displacement maps instead of geometry. Then I converted them to opacity maps, stacking layer after layer for increased detail. I anticipated the look depth of the reactor lighting up to give it the correct look in bright light.
Another major challenge was to create a parody of the conquest of space, using exaggeration, rhythm and humor.
For example, Carl's helmet is ridiculously oversized. Leo and I made the plaster model to create the shadows on the actor's face. Then, we splattered it with paint, and Nicolas geotracked it and integrated the 3D. Carl's suit, however, evokes a classic groundskeeper. It's blue, with shiny gold parts to indicate his obsession with tidiness.
To underscore Carl's isolation in a silly way, we decided he should live in a funny-looking, non-terrestrial bubble house. After a long search, we actually find one here on Earth in the south of France.
As a specialist, I rigged and animated the characters. I mixed and chose between droll, whimsical movements and the realistic way things should move in space. I had to strike the right balance between floaty, heavy and rapid movements.
The tourist shot parodies overconsumption on Earth, both through the acting of the characters and the assets around them. I created indirect lighting and placed light inside the colorful shops, using reflective materials to make the scene pop on screen. We lit the tourists with a colored moving stage light. To better integrate them, we filmed the light pattern on a white wall to use as a gobbo in their CG environment.
Effects were important to the climax, building to a peak of grand absurdity. My main challenge was to balance between what is physically correct and what the audience might expect. I came up with a flexible dust setup. It simulates particles and smoke on demand, creating a stock shot-like asset. The setup can also trigger simulations based on impacts. This allows for quick animation changes and effects retakes. For the big ground fracture, I factored in orbital mechanics due to the scale of the simulation. Once I found the main motion, I adjusted the setup for each shot. This ensured that everything fit within our technical limitations while retaining a maximum amount of detail.
Moonkeeper was a fantastic space voyage for us. We hope you enjoyed it too.